Hi, my name is Sarah Beth Miller, and today we're going to be talking about the social causes of substance abuse. The history of the causes of substance abuse was earlier viewed addiction as seen as a moral weakness. One of the first studies conducted was in 1875 by Levy and Stien that was looking at the causes of the effects of morphine and how patients who were sent home from the hospital got addicted to morphine so fast. Obviously, there were other studies around that time, but this was one of the earlier ones, focused on punishment rather than treatment. That was between 1970s and 1980s. Obviously, probably more time in between that, but that's when it was heavily implemented. It wasn't really looking at why or the root cause of substance abuse. It was just trying to do a Band-Aid fix instead of really fixing the issue. The 20th century as well as the 21st, I don't have it in my slide, but in the 21st shift towards medical and social explanation, so that's when they started asking the question of what is really happening, why, and whatever. So sociologists began studying family structure, poverty, as well as the environment to see if substance abuse was a common factor in all of them, and it was. The modern view, addiction influenced by trauma, inequality, and social stress, which there are some parallelisms. We're going to go to the next slide. So we have the theoretical perspective, but before we jump in, I'm going to talk about the statistics that shows the importance of this topic. Drug overdose have killed over 1 million people in the U.S. alone since 1999. I believe that is important as it has affected so many people, and so many people have lost their so many people have lost their lives due to substance abuse. Going back to the theoretical perspectives, functionalism views substance abuse as a social dysfunction that disturbs social peace. Unemployment reduces one's purpose, which leads to people using substance. So say you just got fired from a job, some people turn to substance to make them feel valued, as well to numb the pain of losing the job, which is a social cause. Obviously, it's not always their fault or whatever, but that is a social example. Unemployment affects lower income groups. So we're going to the conflict theory. Unemployment affects lower income groups, as well as drug policies often criminalize people rather than addressing the root cause. And then we're going to go to symbolic interactionalism. So that discusses the family experiences shape early perspective of drugs. People you hang out with influence and perspective of drugs and behaviors. I believe this is the most fitting for this, as you think a lot of people in high school, you see a lot of people in high school that take drugs who didn't want to start out as drug addicts, but people you surround yourself, often you can get roped into it very fast. And nobody sets out to be a drug addict, but it is a very slippery slope, and I think that the people you surround yourself definitely has an effect. Next, we are going to discuss my thoughts on this topic. I believe that families/churches should be a major support, that they should be helping you get out of this addiction, this struggle that you've been struggling with. I think that churches should have programs that help people to get out of this situation with a biblical view, because so many people feel lost and we all need Jesus. My second point was stable household will reduce relapse. Not everybody is born into a stable household, so I believe that if it's not a stable household, you need to find a community that will support you through your tough times and that will keep you reliable and accountable. My third point was stable household and positive social network is key for improvement, prevention of substance relapse. I touched on this a little bit, but relapse is so hard, and I believe that there can be so many opportunities if you really want to get clean. Thinking about AA groups that can really just keep you accountable, churches, talking to people like leaders in the church, as well as homeless shelters are a great option just to help you get clean, because homeless shelters are obviously there to keep you from being homeless, but as well they want to see you do the best. And if this addiction is hindering you from continuing to grow, they want to help you with that. That's at least what I've seen with my local town. So my thoughts on this is punishing addicts ignores the underlying problem. They need help. We need to act like Jesus and show his love to others. More support from the community and family-centered intervention if needed. So that talks about social networks that are good and positive that can prevent you relapsing. And then we're going to go to my next slide. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go, so you can see it. And I'll scoot over here. But we're going to talk about what problems might get worse if it's unaddressed, and then we're going to discuss what could improve if society takes action. So let's begin. If not addressed, it could increase homelessness and unemployment, as well as continuing the cycle of addiction across generations. So if you have no money and you're constantly addicted to drugs or any kind of substance, this could hinder you from getting a job, from getting a house, from getting shelter. Then we're going to go to the next point, which is stronger support programs should be applied within the town. Could prevent substance use early. So kids that are in high school that are exposed to it so young, this could prevent, as well as just prevent. I think it's a very good idea. Other studies have found poverty to be a risk factor for opioid overdose. Churches can step in by supporting homelessness shelters. Churches can step in by supporting homelessness shelters to curb substance abuse. So those are similar things, but one is talking about how that is like kind of a fact, how substance abuse is a factor into homelessness because they spend money on stuff that they shouldn't instead of investing in a home where they should be safe and sound. Churches should be stepping in by supporting homelessness. So homelessness is not the topic, but it is affected. Addicts are affected by it because they invest their money in the wrong investments, which leads to them being homeless. Then we're going to go to the 4 points on the far right, or your left. If unaddressed, more people are affected by this addiction. We are called to help our neighbors from the Bible. So obviously we know if somebody is struggling with substance abuse, but it also affects their family members. It affects their kids, if they have any. It affects everybody, as well as it affects your own self. The next point is people surround yourself often affect the way you grow up and the view life. So say somebody who is born in a household that struggles with addiction. You have a 40% chance of getting caught up with addiction. And I know I didn't add that statistic, I meant to, but that was one of them. I have witnessed labeling theory, which we had learned about in the course firsthand. We are called to speak life into one another, So I was thinking for this example, if you say that person has a lost cause, there's no way he's going to change. That sets the bar extremely low to where where one would only have to live up to that example instead of saying he struggles with this, but he can do way better. That's what I was thinking, and I have seen the effects of the labeling theory. It is such a hard battle. Tackling this topic head on is the only way to change society, to make a difference for the future generations, and to portray Jesus' love. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.